All right, now let's just look a little bit at the files that we had recovered and just look at some of the metadata on those. So we'll go back to the location that we had done this file carving. So I'm going to go into output 2. And I'm going to go ahead and look at the JPEG file here. So there is a command, exiftool, and this is the tool that you can use to read and manipulate information. So if I just pass in that particular file, here is all the EXIF information for the file that was recovered. Now, this information may or may not be entirely accurate because it was done with file carving. If we didn't get all of the JPEG header, we might be missing some of this metadata, but in this case, we see quite a bit of information, including the date and time that this photo was originally taken, which was at 9/26/2002 at 12:47 in the afternoon and 59 seconds. It had an exposure time of 1/172. It was a Epson digital still camera. The camera type was an SR86. The version, so this is not the specific camera version. This would be more of the image processing version and some of that other information. So it doesn't know specifically what type of camera it was. It just knows that it was an Epson digital still camera, which there are a ton. Some images will show you quite a bit more information. It just really kind of depends upon what is written. Again, not all cameras have to write all of that, but a lot do. This doesn't actually have, since this was a older Epson camera, there's no GPS information, so you won't see any GPS information. Some images, especially if they're taken with a smartphone, will automatically embed GPS images in there, and you can see all of that, including the exact coordinates that they were at. You'll notice that the encoding process, it uses Huffman coding. It's one of my favorite coding processes. So most images, especially JPEG, will use Huffman coding. And then finally, you'll have the image size, 640 by 480, number of megapixels, there's the aperture size, so on and so forth. Let's go ahead and contrast that with the TIFF image. And there's quite a bit less image here because, again, this is usually, cameras don't usually store it as a TIFF. That's usually going through some image processing tool. But you'll notice that the image size here is quite a bit bigger. Number of bits per sample. It's a full resolution image. There's the byte order. So there's the actual image size, which corresponds to a 5 megapixel image, so on and so forth. So you aren't seeing a ton of extra information, but you are seeing more information in here than you might normally see for this particular file type. So I would just encourage you to run this, take some pictures with your own camera, and look and see what information is stored with that. Download some images from the internet and see what information you might be able to find. Try this on random documents. Try this on all sorts of other things, like the scalpel. Let's see. If I do an EXIF tool, scalpel, this is going to have very limited information, but it does count or have the number of lines, have the word count. This uses a Unix line feed for the end of the line, so on and so forth. So it has some of that information. Other files will have more information. So play around with this. There are other flags and everything. You can do a man exif tool, and that will show you quite a bit of information. In fact, these are all the file types that this tool supports. The meta information in this, whether you can read, write, the particular information for all of those. Notice it says and more because there's probably a lot that it supports that it doesn't list in this, along with all of the flags and descriptions of everything. At the bottom here, just hitting page down, this is a pretty long man page. There are examples here. So these are the examples on reading different information. So you can use all sorts of different things there. You can look for specific things like image size, exposure time, so on and so forth. And then down here are writing examples. These are how you can change various things. So write a new comment to a JPEG image. So you can do it this way. You can delete the credit information from all files in the directory where the credit value was whatever that was. You can specify that. So there's a lot you can do with your exif tool and a lot of things that you might want to change or read or manipulate. So I just encourage you to play around with it, experiment, read different files, just kind of learn what information is out there and stored with each of the files.